Hype, hype. Come with me tonight. Can't you see? I wanna be with you. Hype, hype. Come with me tonight.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to E20 Zone TV. Hope everyone is all well on this Monday evening. Looking forward to Dagenham giving Millwall a good kicking, hopefully. To my right is Jay, but we're here to talk about West Ham United versus Fulham. Jay, how are you doing, mate?
I'm good, mate. Another Monday in the books. Looking forward to West Ham again tomorrow. And as you said, couldn't have said it better. Looking forward to a big Dagenham and Redbridge performance tonight. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I actually think they're going to turn them over tonight. From what I'm hearing, they're right up for it. And there's a lot of people that I know have gone down there, and they are well and truly up for the scrap, so to speak. We've got a scrap tomorrow, a scrap to try and find some fucking players. Jay, what are we saying about tomorrow? Because obviously we've got a problem with no players.
It's weird, isn't it? Like all this, I think we discussed it yesterday, didn't we? All this money spent, and we're down to the bare bones.
Yeah.
I listened, as I'm sure many people did, listen to Graham Potter's press conference today. I really like the way he speaks. He doesn't take any nonsense from journalists and kind of says it how it is. But yeah, I expect us to be down to the bare bones. It's really hard to predict what he's going to do with the lineup. I think we're going to probably see at least one of the youngsters get another start. I can't see any other way. Are we going to see another Danny Ings performance? Oh, probably. Although, again, I found it really interesting. I don't know if you heard the press conference. He did hint that turning to Kudus through the middle is something that he could do. So I'm really at odds with what to expect tomorrow, mate. But I'm looking forward to what I hope will be another spirited West Ham performance. What about yourself?
I thought his interview, he spoke well. He said a lot of stuff, i.e. James Ward-Prowse not coming back on loan. Obviously, off of his loan deal. I don't think he's down for that one. They asked him about a striker, and he sort of didn't really say yes or no, really, to a point. So he's keeping them guessing, which is always a good thing. Kudus through the middle might be the solution. You go Kudus through the middle, and then you might have to bring the Brazilian sensation, Luis Guilherme, on the right. How do we go around it, though, tomorrow? Or what do you think he's going to do? Because if he does play Ings tomorrow, then he's basically forfeiting a player to a point, isn't he?
Yeah, and it's difficult, isn't it? Like, we're a man down from trying to figure out what we're going to do, and we'll go through the lineup, I'm sure, in a moment. I expect a change in formation, to be honest. When I was trying to think about this, I can't see him sticking with four at the back. I expect him to switch to his favoured 3-4-3 or 3-4-2-1 or whatever you'd like to call it. But however you look at it, we're a man down, so we're going to have to change something. I would anticipate playing. I think Mavropanos is fit from what I saw. He didn't say anything about Mavropanos missing out. Said that he was okay, so that's good. Todibo obviously still a doubt. Somerville a doubt. Emerson, I found that interesting. Obviously, we were talking about Emerson yesterday, and he said he picked up a knock and shouldn't be too far away from coming back. So obviously, he's not going to come out in the press conference and say, yeah, there's interest and he doesn't want to be here. So, but I did find that interesting. Will we see the return of Emerson sometime? If not tomorrow, then at the weekend. Interesting one. But I'd be happy with, if he's going to play 3-4-3, I'd be more than happy with Scarles at left wing back. Thought he did really well at left back. I know he does play in a more advanced role generally for the 21s. So I think he'd be a duck to water at left wing back. He'd have a lot of support around him defensively, a lot more license to get forwards. His delivery is good. Found it interesting. He took a couple of set pieces for the first team against Villa. So they obviously trust him. So yeah, I'll be happy with him starting at left wing back if that's what we see. Will we see another Vladimir Coufal performance? Obviously, he wasn't great the other day, but he wasn't really playing in his natural position. But seeing him in a back five, where if he switches Wan-Bissaka into right centre back, again, another player where you just play into his strengths and you allow him to get forward, you allow him to provide width, and you allow him to put crosses in the box. So, yeah, interesting one.
What do you think on Fulham?
I think Fulham are good sides. They're very inconsistent from what I've seen so far this season. They seem to be pretty good at home. Raul Jimenez is a weird player. He seems to just keep putting in performances out of nowhere. I really like their centre-backs. who is it? Joachim Anderson and Calvin Bassey. I think they're a good pair of centre backs. I'm puzzled by Emil Smith Rowe as well. He seems to struggle to hold down a place in the first team for whatever reason. I'm not sure why. He seems to be in and out of the team, but I really rate him as a player. They got Alex Iwobi on the left wing, who he's one of those just powerful cutting in wingers that will cause us problems. Along with what's his name on the other side, Traore. So they've got a lot of players that could cause us a lot of problems, which is why I think a change in formation would probably be a good thing, considering how stretched we are from a first 11 perspective. But I think we'll be pretty well matched to them. I think we'll give them a good game. What do you reckon?
Iwobi, is it Robinson? Is it the other one?
The left back.
Left back, the one who keeps just having loads and loads of pace. Obviously, Traore will come off the bench at some point. He loves a goal against us. Who else they got in their ranks? Obviously, Pereira. I don't know whether he'll still be there, but I think he's looking for a way out.
Yeah.
And, we played them last season. We held 7 goals, didn't score 1. We played them this season. We were crap for 93 minutes of that game at Craven Cottage, and somehow we got a point out of the game. If we start slow in this one, we could be done and dusted by half time. If they score a goal early and the fan base starts to get the ump, then basically we could be out of the game. The problem is Potter's got no tools to work with. He's working with fucking rusty tools when he needs state of the art equipment. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's not like it's his fault at the minute. I just feel that with Fulham, they are a bit of an inconsistent side. 1 minute they're very good, 1 minute they can't do anything right. Do you know what I mean? You've only got to look at them the other week against Ipswich Town. Ipswich Town were in the game and they should have won the game, really, if it wasn't for their own sort of self-destruction. But what about Silva?
It's an interesting one, isn't he? We obviously briefly discussed him last week when the talk came out that West Ham had sort of registered an interest FC in taking Marco Silva from him. We got quoted a price of 8 million quid, and we told him where to go. He is this kind of manager who will take a team like when he took Watford, and he'll build them up from kind of not a lot, and then make them pretty consistent mid-table, pretty solid. He did really well at Watford. He's doing really well at Fulham. Yeah. Seems to get a tune out of these players. Seems to have his squad pretty settled. I think he's a really good manager, mate. That being said, traveling to West Ham, I've got this weird feeling of optimism that we'll have enough to deal with them tomorrow. I don't know why. I'm not going to sit here and say, we're comfortably going to beat them. But there was so many positives from the game the other day. Today, this will be our game where if we're going to have new manager bounce, it's going to be this game. So kind of regardless of Marco Silva, you look at the lineup that they're likely to put out. It's a strong team. You look at the lineup we're potentially going to put out. I think anyone who could predict the lineup and put some money on it, you'd do well to pick a winner. Is what I'd say. I just got a good feeling. I got a weird feeling we're going to at least get a draw out of it. I don't know why.
I will save my prediction to the end. Let's come to this. You're starting 11. Right, first off, Jay, what is the system that you think he's going to play tomorrow?
I think he will go to 3-4-2-1. We'll go through the personnel. Goalkeeper's an interesting one, isn't it? As far as I'm aware, Areola's back fit, and he wasn't in the squad the other day. Was it that he wasn't in the squad because he was touch and go? Was it because he sees Areola as his first choice keeper in the league? I don't really know. I'd be happy with either goalkeeper, to be honest. I'm not really that fast. I know Areola's not had a great season, but if he's going to be around again next season, we've kind of been talking about this for a long time, haven't we? You've got to nail your colours to the mast at some point. So Areola or Fab's 50-50 for me. What do you reckon?
Fab for me.
Yeah.
I think you go with the experience over Areola. If it's either or, in it, let's be honest. Do you know what I mean? One of them's nearly 40 years old. The other one is I don't think he's going to be here much longer, and I think he's going to be at the door probably in the summer to a point. Areola for me.
Yeah.
So it's 50-50 either one. The back three though, that's an interesting one. Right, we'll go through it. Kilman starts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who are the other two centre halves for you?
So there's a debate here, isn't there? There's again, Potter alluded to using youngsters where he has to. I would anticipate, and if it was me, I'd go Kilman, Mavropanos, and Wan-Bissaka as my back three. But will he bring in Kalen Casey? Will he chuck him in and
don't
give him a
think so.
go? Yeah, there's something about this. And the way that I look at this, right, is I think the safest bet is Kilman, Mavropanos, and Wan-Bissaka, right? But was he so put off with what Soufal's going to offer that he doesn't play him and he brings Casey into the back three and pushes Wan-Bissaka to right back? And the second reason being, we'll have no aerial threat in the box anyway. And when you look at the profile of the two right wing backs, when you compare Wan-Bissaka versus Vladimir Soufal, Vladimir Soufal is better when he can overlap and whip a ball in the box. If he can be putting balls in the box to Paqueta, Ings, Kudus, Guilherme, none of them are going to win a header. So Souček we'll get to. I don't think the kind of formation that he's going to play is going to permit Souček to get forward as much as we'd potentially like him to. I'm not sure.
Right.
But those four like attacking players, I don't see as like winning many headers. I know Paqueta has done in his time, but it's nothing compared to slinging balls into Fulkrug. So when I look at it this way, if you were to play Aaron Wan-Bissaka, somebody who will not want to go outside and will not want to whip crosses in, he's somebody who will want to get his foot on the ball and he'll want to cut inside and he'll want to get involved in 1-2s and drive forward with the ball. I could see that working. So I'm torn as to whether he'll do that. I imagine he'll stick with Wan-Bissaka and play Soufal, but I don't mind if he plays Kalen Casey, to be honest. Don't mind it at all.
I think it's a bit of a risk playing Casey against Premier League opposition. Don't get me wrong. If he starts the game, then fair enough. But I just think it's a major risk because if it goes bad for him, you could ruin the player straight away. I think Scarles has been in and out the side over the last few years. He's played a game. He hasn't played another game. Thought he had a good game the other day up to the 70th minute mark. And after that, he went out of steam, the kid. It's no fault of his. It's just the fact that when you're playing against Premier League players, you're playing against Premier League top level elite athletes. You know what I'm saying? And he needs to get there. And I just don't think he's there yet. For me, Mavropanos needs to turn up. That's the first thing. Like if he's fit, right, he needs to turn up. This man's got a mistake in him every single game, and that's a major problem for us because we could have a right good game tomorrow. He makes one fuck up, and then we end up conceding a goal, which could either lose us the game or potentially draw us the game. Kilman, I agree. Mavropanos, he has to turn up. Wan-Bissaka, I can probably go with that one. But he wouldn't surprise me if it was Kilman, Mavropanos, and Aaron Cresswell. And I'll tell you the reason why. I think Cresswell plays in the back three before. He hasn't got to do a lot of running. And he's done it on numerous occasions. He takes set pieces, he takes corners, you know, it sort of works to a point. And even when Cresswell's out of position, Alvarez can come in there and fill in as a back three. So it could be back three of Alvarez, Mav, and Kilman. Do you think Scarles? Right. Question is, do you think Scarles will start? And the second question is, do you think he should start?
I think yes and yes for me personally.
Yeah.
I agree with you. He ran out of legs the other day. He put 60 minutes in. He was gassed for the last 5 of them, and he got dragged. And I think he just had such a good game. And I think if he's the future, we got to stick by him here. He's had, granted, it's only been a couple of days, but they've had a recovery session. He's probably got another hour in his legs again. And we'll have players that we can then bring on for him. We'll probably switch to back 4 at some point if we're short on bodies. Wan-Bissaka could go over to the left sides in the second half if he needs to. So I think we'd be able to cover him. But I think to what we kind of discussed yesterday, if this guy's the future, this is how we get his match fitness up. Because this is kind of like a new signing who's not really had a proper pre-season, right? Because he's a kid, he's not used to playing at this intensity, and the only way he gets used to it is by playing more games.
Yeah.
So I think you give him another hour, 70 minutes if he lasts 70 minutes, and then by the weekend, more recovery, more time between games, probably play another hour or 70 minutes, and then he's got a week before the next game. So I think we can build this guy up so that by the end of January, he's fit enough and he's strong enough where he could play 90 minutes for us. So I stick with him, mate. As long as his body is okay and as long as he's fit, I would stick with him personally.
Who's your right wing back?
Christ.
Do you go with Wan-Bissaka as a right wing back and then play Cresswell, or do you go with Wan-Bissaka as a third centre half and Soufal?
I actually really like your idea of Cresswell at left centre back. I'm actually a big fan of it. If you're going to play that, this is probably the game where Raul Jimenez hasn't got blistering pace. He's a bit of a fox in the box, but he's not going to like tear up trees with balls over the top. Granted, I think I'd probably give Cresswell a good run for his money in a 30-yard sprint nowadays. But at the same time, I think this is the kind of game where you could play him, and I hadn't thought of that until you mentioned it. So I'd be happy with Cresswell left centre back, and I'd be happy with Wan-Bissaka at right wing back. I'd also be happy with Wan-Bissaka at right centre back and Soufal at right wing back. But given the profile of the attacking players we're likely to play, I would go with you, and I would say Cresswell left centre back, and I would say Wan-Bissaka at right wing back for me.
It's going to midfield. So basically, it's like a 3, or it's like a 5-3-2, and it really to a point, like or 4 or a 3-4-3. Who's the two midfielders for you then?
Alvarez and Souček for me. I thought Alvarez in the first half was pretty good against Villa. And I like just purely the fact that we don't have anyone else who can play that position. So I think it's pretty cut and dry. It needs to be Alvarez and Souček for me. I don't reckon this manager is going to fancy Guido Rodriguez at all. So yeah, Alvarez and Souček for me.
I agree. I agree with that. Right now, let's come to the final sort of 3 positions. What do you do with Crysencio Summerfield? Do you risk him or do you not in this one?
Everything that I've read seems to like nobody has a clue whether he's fit enough. Nobody's got a clue. And if he is fit enough, do you bother throwing him back in 3 days after he pulled up at half time? Or do you just save him for the weekend? I actually don't reckon he's going to be fit. And I reckon we leave him out for this game. He could be really, really important. And we're at the stage where if he then gets another injury and he's out for 6 weeks, we're really struggling. So I would leave him out personally. I think Paqueta's got a big game ahead of him. Really liked what I saw from him for the majority of the game against Villa. So I think he likes this kind of box midfield. Whether we've had long enough to actually learn it and play it properly, I would say probably not. It takes quite a long time to learn a system like that, I would say. But Paqueta playing in that box is like the advanced left midfielder. Who we then play as the advanced right midfielder, not 100% sure. I'd probably go for Guilherme, to be honest. I don't see anyone else that you could put there.
I think there's 2 ways of looking at this. Right, the first way is you play Paqueta and Soler together. It's like two 10s, and have Mo going through the middle. Danny Ings is not good enough. Like anyone who's suggesting Daniel fucking Ings playing for this club, please get in the bin. Yeah, because he's fucking shit. I think you go with Paqueta or Soler, or you go with Paqueta and Guilherme, and like have them as your sort of inside forwards coming in for Kudus. Luis Guilherme has to play games. I'm sorry, everyone keeps raving about Tim fucking Stuyden, right? He got the jet and he brought the Brazilian sensation back. Well, let's fucking see him, because we're running out of people and we ain't got we can't rely on time anymore, right? Time is not an issue anymore. We need the players playing, and he's one of them players that needs to play. Now, I will know in 60 minutes of seeing Luis Guilherme if Harry can cut it in the Premier League. At present, we haven't really seen a lot of him, have we? And the times where we have seen him, we've been blasted out of games where it's been pointless. So, what do you think, Jay? Give me your 3.
Yeah, I'm saying Paqueta is inside left. I'm saying Guilherme inside right, and I'm saying Mo Kudus for the middle. I think that's the kind of front 3 that will draw the best out of Guilherme.
Yeah.
I think Paqueta having less defensive responsibility and a bit more freedom with some talented attacking players around him. Guilherme and him, I think, will link up really well today. We know him and Mo, when they're both firing, we know that they can both play really well together if you put them close. Some of their best play last season was when we had Mo in the 10 and we had Paqueta on the left and we had Emerson overlapping, and we had 3 players who understood each other, who knew where the runs were going, and linked up really well together. I think put those 2 together in the advanced role with the likes of Scarles going on the outside of the left, or maybe it's Wan-Bissaka, maybe it's Soufal, who knows, but someone running wide right, I think we could cause them a lot of problems. I think we really could. And I completely agree with you. If we're going to see the best out of Luis Guilherme, now's the time. Like, we're short on bodies. We need somebody with that attacking flair. I think Carlos Soler is a workhorse, and will be better at the pressing side of the game. He can pick a pass as well. We've seen it in glimpses this season.
Yeah.
But if it's me, given the stage we're at in the season and given what we need, I think throw Luis Guillaume in there. He's the future of this club, apparently. So let's see what he can do now, and let's see what he needs to work on.
I just hope Potter. I just hope Potter goes, you know what? He's here. I'm going to use it. I think we see it with Scarles, and I want to see it with this geezer because I think with Scarles, we're going to back our youth players up regardless, right? That's going to happen. But with Guilherme, he was the first signing under the Tim Steidten era. Really, yeah. Like the summer just gone, he was the first one through the door. So he's the one really that we all need to see, and we all just need to see if he's really that good. Do you know what I'm saying? Because when we do see him, if he does tear up some trees, then we know we've got a player. And I'm going to be honest, it will sort of help Tim Steidten to a point because at present he's getting a lot of stick. Do you know what I'm saying? He's looking like he's out the door in the summer. So we need to see what Luis Guillaume is all about now. For me, that's what it has to be. Mo up front, Luis Guilherme and Lucas Paqueta, two Brazilians playing for West Ham. I can't remember the last time that happened. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, this is
Do you know
true.
what I mean? Or three if you add Emerson, but he's Italian by country.
By allegiance, yeah.
By allegiance, yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what it would be for me. Let's come to this, and that is score predictions time, Jay. What are you saying?
Like I said, I've got this strange feeling we're going to at least get a result out of this game. New manager bounce incoming. I think new formation that Fulham won't have been able to prep for because they won't have seen West Ham playing this kind of style. They'll have seen 45 minutes of us playing like full flowing Potter ball, which I think we were all impressed with. And this will probably be the first opportunity for us to see a whole game of it. I think we'll probably take the lead and probably fade. So I'm going to say 1-1 in this game for me.
Same as me. I'm going for a banker draw. I don't think West Ham have the firepower to beat Fulham. And I think the new manager bounce will be not losing to Fulham, if that makes sense. So I think we're going to come out the traps. I think everyone's going to get behind Potter. Obviously, it's his first game at the LS. And I think we ain't going to have the ability to go and beat a Fulham side who are not a bad side. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think it's a banker's draw, this one. And I think West Ham, it'd be interesting to see how West Ham cope tomorrow if they go a goal down, if they can turn it around and come back. Because that's some things that we haven't seen all season where I think we've only drew, we've come back 3 times in games where we drew all of them 1-0, I think it was. So, yeah, for me, I'm going to say a draw. I think we need to score first. And if we score first, we've got half a chance. That's really it, really, if I'm being honest on that. Before we go, let's discuss some transfers, Jay.
Yeah.
That man's name appears again today. I put saying Cup on X earlier, and I have this old timer literally keeps digging me out. So I'm just going to sort of say my piece on him. Yeah. I don't report the news. I just pass the news on. Do you know what I'm saying? So, stop picking on me out there, you bastards. Do you know what I'm saying? So, yeah. John Duran has reappeared again. Thoughts?
I like this. This guy is going to have our fan base on strings again in 2025. And I saw his name come up today and I was like, this is worst nightmare stuff. Like we were never going to get him in the summer. And you can believe what you want about this transfer because there was so many things reported in the summer. I do believe that we were getting closer and getting closer. And then they moved the goalpost because they were like, actually, we don't want to sell him. And that's why we moved so quickly. And that's why it's come out that Steidten was like, we're in the shit here, lads. We need to get someone. And he just went and pulled the trigger on Fulkrug because he got to feel like he's not coming to us. They won't sell him to us. And lo and behold, they signed him to a new contract, which immediately boosted his value. Then he scored a handful of goals as well, which boosted his value even more. And if, again, believe what you want to believe about this phantom bid, whether you believe I saw one report saying it's 30 mil, one saying it's 50 mil. Where on earth we'd be finding 50 mil from? I've got
in
no
a January
idea.
window. Yeah.
Yeah. Ain't happening, is it? If you believe John Duran's going to come, honestly, just lower your expectations right now and save yourself a lot of hurt. I don't think he's ever going to play for West Ham, sadly. And I think we should probably be more realistic and potentially move on to some of the other names. I saw someone in chat has mentioned El Yawahi. I've got Twitter open and saw that name come up. Keep that man away from West Ham. Yeah. Honestly, don't want anything to do with that player.
Do you know his background?
Yep, I do know his background. And anyone in chat who doesn't know his background, give him a little Google about
Yeah.
his controversy and about why we don't want him at West Ham. He is the wrong kind of character for the types of people that we want playing for this great club. So no to him.
I see people mentioning Jonathan David, saying that he's going to want a lot of money to go somewhere else. Not necessarily. If West Ham can afford to go and pay Danny Ings 125 grand a week, you can afford to go and pay out money for Jonathan David. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't think it's that hard, really. I look at other players. Evan Ferguson, I think, is off the table. He's injured currently right now. And will West Ham, or saying that West Ham would do it, go and sign a player who's injured currently? Do you know what I mean? I think we've got a lot of problems in trying to find players, really. I keep seeing two players mentioned, Jay, right? One of them is Dewsbury Hall from Chelsea, and the other one is is it Carney
Chukwuemeka, Chukwuemeka, yeah. Although I should have let you sweat on that pronunciation.
Yeah, I call him Carney for short. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What are you saying on them two?
I'd be quite excited about Dewsbury Hall.
So
I think
would I.
Dewsbury Hall would be a
Yeah.
really, really good signing. Like his move to Chelsea was an interesting one, obviously favoured by the manager that had gone from Leicester to Chelsea. Can't get a look in, full of quality, like tons of quality. And I think he'd be hungry to get back into a Premier side and be playing gaming like week in, week out. And I think he'd get a lot of games for West Ham as well. So if you can get him on loan, I'd rather him than Chukwuemeka. I do think Chukwuemeka will be a player, but he's a bit more raw and would take a little bit more time. And we probably need someone in that kind of position who's going to come in and make an impact a bit quicker. So if you can get him on loan, I'll be more than happy with that. More than happy with that.
If they got Dewsbury Hall and that was it, is that enough for you?
No, not for me. Not for me. We've got to get a striker, mate. We absolutely have to get a striker. And this is the difficult thing, right? The names that we've mentioned, so the latest links, we talked about Oyuwahi. That's a big fat no. Evan Ferguson, Potter got asked about him in the press conference today, and he didn't give a lot away, but said he would only talk about him when he's a West Ham player, which I didn't know whether it was just he misspoke or whether it was a Freudian slip that he's trying to get him. Not sure. I actually believe that if we're probably going to, I said this before yesterday, we're probably going to sit on our hands for a bit. I don't actually expect any movement this week. I expect us to just throw the crap bids out just to see who actually nibbles at something. And as we get closer to the end of the window, when we start to get an idea on Brighton's situation, I could see us going in for Evan Ferguson and trying to get him on loan. Just because he'll be the cheap option and because Potter knows it. Tone just put out a Awoniyi as well, and I was just about to come on to him. I'm not blown away by him. I like the price quoted of like £20 million is too much for a player like that. I don't know what his goal scoring record is, mate, but I am not excited by that player at all.
I would rather go and get Dewsbury Hall on the loan, right, to the end of the season, and I'd go into the Championship. I'll go up to Sunderland and get Bellingham out of there. You need midfielders. We need midfielders in our ranks, yeah, and you can work around the striker front. Like Paqueta can go up front, Mo can go up front. Bowen will be back by the end of February. We can sort of try and get round it this season without having a natural striker. But if you was to build the midfield up, i.e., right, we might have a chance. And obviously Bellingham can score because he's like an attacking midfielder. We need to do something, don't we? Like, do you know what I'm saying? And I've got a feeling West Ham are going to delay this all the way. They know that they've got, was it two or three games, and they got that sort of break for the FA Cup, and then obviously Bowen will be back by then. Is there anyone else, Jay, that you've sort of seen that any links?
No, we've covered all the main ones, I think. And to Exponential's comment in chat there, shout out to him. I agree. I don't think any of them are likely. I'm not expecting us to get a striker, but my God, do we need one? Which is why I do believe if we're going to get one, it'll be Evan Ferguson on deadline day on loan, because he'll be cheap, because he's a safer option, and because it means we can just wait and see how fit is Jarrod Bowen. So I don't think they're going to shell out the money for Jonathan David. Duran was never going to happen. I really hope they don't go for Awoniyi. I just looked up his stats for this season: 15 games, 1 goal. We shouldn't be spending £20 million on a 27-year-old who's got 1 goal this season. That is not value for money whatsoever.
I would rather go in the Championship and get Latte Left for 18.
Latte Left, yeah, £18 million from Atlanta FC, isn't it? Yeah, I'd rather we go and spend the money on him. I completely agree with you.
Like I think you learn more from Championship players because they've got a point to prove rather than the player that's sitting in a club right now not doing a lot. Now, obviously, strikers go to different clubs, and let's have it right. Some strikers fit different clubs. Like Chris Wood was at Newcastle, didn't work out. He goes to Nottingham Forest, he ends up being a player. Do you know what I mean? All of a sudden, but I do think we need to sort something out. Do you know what I'm saying? The problem is when you're sitting back and you're thinking about it, there's not many out there now. The only thing I would say is if there's any strikers out there that's got 6 months left on their current deal, I think that's where you've got to go in there and try and prize them away from their club. Now, up before they lose out on a free.
Mm.
But really, there's not the January market. It's started to become more of a problem than anything because no clubs are prepared to sell their decent players, is it, Jay?
Yeah, this is the thing. And this is why I agree with you. If you're going to go for someone, Jonathan David is probably the least risky option because once you buy him, his value of 20, 25 million quid, I think you probably get him for 20 to 25. It's just he would ask for a lot of money. But as you said, 125 grand a week is off the wage bill at the end of the season. So if you can offer him Danny Ings' money and replace him with him, you've upgraded the striker. And from there, his value goes back up. So if it doesn't work out in 18 months, you can probably sell him and at least break even, if not make a little bit of a profit on him. I think it makes the most sense to be honest, to nail your colours to the mast, go for him as your big striker signing. Big being a pun because he's only 5'10", but and if it doesn't work, then you move on to other targets. But yeah, we shouldn't be settling for Awoniyi at this stage of the window. It's far too early to be looking at last resort players who can't get Nottingham Forest team.
Yeah, I completely agree. How many players are you predicting this window?
I think we'll probably get 1, 2 if we're lucky. I think if Emerson sorts his head out and is happy to stay at West Ham, I don't think he'll go for a left back because Ollie Scarles, I think this will be the making of him this run into the end of the season. I don't think he needs to sign anyone in that position and stunt his growth. I could see us getting Dewsbury Hall. I could really see that. And I could see us panic buying a striker. But I don't think we'll get more than 2 players maximum.
Do you think Potter's picking the players now?
From what I've read / heard, apparently this is a big part of what's happening behind the scenes, and the players will be selected by Graham Potter. Steiden, as we know, is having a lesser role in the meetings that are going on, and it will be between probably Potter and Sullivan, and they'll just take advice from Steiden and probably Noble. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing is up to where your allegiances lie on Tim Steiden. But I certainly don't mind if Potter's going to pick the players he wants to get him through to the end of the season. But I hope we don't panic buy anyone. West Ham haven't had a good panic buy in a while since Danny Ings. Danny Ings was classic David Sullivan panic buy. But hopefully we don't go down that route again. And I do think Awoniyi would be the same kind of signing, personally.
If we do sign him, because I see like James says in the chat there, yeah. If we do sign him, how do you think that's going to go down? Because obviously his history is no good.
Yeah, the downfall of this club will be pretty spectacular if that's the route that we go down, right? Look, and the way I look at it, if it got to deadline day, Bowen's not back yet. We know how long Fulcrug's going to be out for. Danny Ings ain't it, and we are desperate for a striker, and you could get him for a good price. I would see a good price as being like 10 mil for that player, and not a penny more. And then you would go, all right, you could sign him. He'll get you through to the end of the season. He could be back up the following season. You could probably get about 6, 7 for him when you sell him, and he's done a job. I would see that as like kind of acceptable business, but 20 mil, mate, is just too much. We'd get behind him. We'd support him. He's got to be an upgrade on Danny Ings. But at the same time, whenever I've seen him, I've not been blown away by him. So, you know, and the final thing I'll say on that is to maybe caveat that point. We got to be pragmatic with what's doable and what's available. If we have actually tried to get Jonathan David and we have actually tried to get a top quality striker and he goes somewhere else, fair enough. Like that's fair enough. But my worry is we'll look at that and go, nah, his agent's too expensive and his wages are too expensive, and we'll just settle, as opposed to actually trying to get someone ambitious. So yeah, it's a tricky one, mate, but I don't think it'll go down overly well.
Do you think anyone leaves this window?
Do I think anyone leaves us? If anyone was going to go, I would have thought it would have been Emerson. But like, again, the way that Potter spoke today, it didn't seem like he's expecting him to leave. If anyone goes, I'd say it's going to be Guido Rodriguez. I don't think we'll let Alvarez go. It would have to be like 35, 40 mil for us to let him go in January. And I don't think Monaco are going to stump that cash up. They want a loan with obligation, didn't they? And I'm like, there's just no benefit for us, to be honest. Completely ruining our midfield. Yeah, this is very true. Very, very true. Yeah, I don't see the point in us letting Alvarez go. I could see Guido going. Mavropanos from James Batten there. I don't see us letting Mav go. I think we need to move him on at the end of the season. Personally, I didn't think. I remember us talking about it at the start of the season. I thought he was only ever good enough to be fourth choice, and here we are with him starting most games. Like, we've got to upgrade him at the end of the season.
Doesn't make no sense, does it? Let's be honest. But hopefully we can sort this situation out. But then saying that, it all depends how they play tomorrow, really. Because if they do play well tomorrow night, people might go, "Oh no, you ain't got to go and get no one because they've got people there." Do you know what I'm saying? But it needs something needs to be done. I see what people say about Jonathan David. Well, West Ham have been linked with Jonathan David ever since I've done YouTube. I've done YouTube 4 years, I think, in September. So I've done YouTube long enough to know that we've been linked with this geezer for a long, long time. I'm not sure his agent or he's with like an agency, which I think Salthouse is sort of known. I think Salthouse knows the agency who he works for. That's why we keep getting linked with him every single time. And when I see him getting linked to people like Bayern Munich and all that, I don't think Jonathan David's going to go to Bayern Munich knowing full well Harry Kane's going to be starting ahead of him. So he's going to go to a club where he's going to want to play. I look at Aston Villa, for instance, like today. They go out and sign someone straight away, and there's us like stalling around, like wondering what the fuck to do. So, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be one of them. I would want David, Duran, or even Delap if we can make it happen. Well, David, I would say yeah. Duran is not going to happen, right? And this is a shout out to everyone right now. Do not believe the shit about Duran. It will not happen. Yeah, it's just another thing to feed the minds of people to give them false hope. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah, I'm going to speak straight into the camera. It's just giving you false hope. And we've heard this story one too many times about Duran, right? How comes the bid was last week? Why did no fucker ITK report it that a bid was done last week? Ironically, isn't it? Like, do you know what I'm saying? And Delap, would you have Delap?
I would have Delap. End of the season, I think that's a player we should be going for, 100%. And this is testament to like their talent ID. There was so good. He's the perfect player for them. A player who I think he went out on loan a couple of times in the Championship, didn't necessarily tear trees up, but clearly is a ton of talent. And got him for what looked like a bit of a steep price for a youngster who hadn't really proven himself in the Prem. But I look at it now and I go, yeah, that's the kind of profile of player that we should be looking at the end of the season. And I think Graham Potter would get a tune out of a player like that. He works hard. He's got a great touch. He presses well, and he's got a great finish as well. He's everything that you would want. So, yeah, in the summer, if you're going to spend big on a striker, I'd be happy with us going and throwing 35, 40 million at him, as opposed to, like, trying to just flirt with Duran again. Like, just sooner we let that one go, the better. But
I'm going to be honest, right? I can't wait for him to be fucking sold to somewhere else, and we can just forget about the man. He's like the ex-bird that you just can't get rid of, isn't it? Do you know what I'm saying?
Do you know what I can see happening is he goes to PSG, and then when he's been sat on a bench for a year at PSG, like Kolo Muani has, then he comes back to the Premier League, and that's when he goes somewhere else.
Do you know what? There's one player that I'm hoping, Jay, and I'm hoping for a long time, yeah, and I'm hoping he's had enough of Dubai, and that is Mr. Ivan Toney. He would be a perfect replacement right now, yeah. But that man is sitting back, loving life on like something like 300, 400 grand a week. So, yeah.
Ivan would be 28 degrees over there at the moment as well, sitting in his mansion. Yeah, you try and tempt him back to East London right now.
Yeah. Do you really want to come back into the frozen conditions of the ends? I don't think he does, but I still live in hope and hope for the best. Any final words from you, Jay, before we make a move?
Looking forward to the game tomorrow. I hope everyone is excited. I certainly am. It's going to be a good West Ham performance. If anyone is still... I saw Ironworks Alliance, I think it is, telling people if you want to be in the atmosphere section, bottom left corner of the Bobby Moore lower. So for anyone who's still yet to buy a ticket, that's your area to go and buy in, because they'll be trying to make some noise and they need all the support they can get. So if you're buying tickets, buy them there. And I might bump into you as well. That'll be fun. So yeah, come on, your
All good, mate. All good. Special like on the video. Subscribe to E20 Zone TV and hit the notification bell. Are you guys going to watch Dagenham Ridge batter Millwall? Of course we are, mate. Half the boys I know are already up there. So, you know what? I had a choice tonight. It was either be good or not. So I went, no, I'll be good tonight. I'll stay in with the missus and watch it on the box. As I say, smash a like on the video, subscribe to E20 Zone TV and hit notification bell. I'll be back tomorrow, straight after the game. Yeah. Hopefully we can get a result. What time's the kickoff tomorrow? 7:30, isn't it?
7:30, yeah, 7:30 kickoff.
7:30, so it's a nice and early one, right? So by about 10 o'clock tomorrow, after 4, if you want to come on and have your say, come on, have your say on E20 Zone TV. That is enough from me and Jay. We've discussed West Ham versus Fulham, transfers, and Jonathan fucking Duran. The sooner that man leaves this country and goes and plays football for PSG or Napoli, the better, because he ain't playing for us.
Amen.
Anyway, from me to you, take care. Peace.